Is making a seemingly futile contribution pointless or potentially praising? Individual minimal affecting contribution on a grand scale seems useless, considering one small portion out of a massive multitude is quite most often insignificant and inconsequential. Mathematically, if one portion is 1 out of 99, there's a 1% chance any individual portion will have a deciding effect. Or more extremely, 1 out of a million has a 0.0001% chance. Just as alternatively, one portion of 3 has 33% influence or chance of having a deciding effect. So from that perspective, it seems reasonable that a minimal contribution is irrelevant. But with further analysis and the massively complex extents of this world, that minimal contribution almost certainly also has some percentage chance of accomplishing something beneficial in a multitude of alternate ways. So mathematically considering the additional variable chances, granted likely to be small percentages, would likely significantly increase the overall cumulative percentage probability out of that one portion having an influence or deciding effect. This is perhaps difficult to understand in such generic theoretical calculative terms, so an example in reality might make it more plausible to understand. A practical example could be an individual making a $10 donation to a charity with a goal to raise $100,000. Mathematically, dealing with the direct distinct variables, it seems there is a 0.01% influence that 10 has on 100,000. So why bother, right? If the grand scale perspective is taken into consideration, there's a vast extent of alternate variables, virtually indistinguishable, with potential additional benefit. In this example, a hypothetical, alternate positive outcome could be perhaps someone else being influenced and inspired by your donation, and in turn making their own donation. This on its own virtually doubling the percentage influence, with the additional, even greater positive outcome possibility of that donation influencing another, and so on, with a potential massive positive outcome, even if minimally probable. That is one example off the top of my head, but there will typically be numerous plausible ways that an action in consideration gives an advantageous percentage probability to positive outcome. Ultimately, mathematically, any decision comes down to potential positive effect weighed against potential negative effect. In estimation, these potentials for considerable positive outcomes accumulate, and when mathematically combined and averaged out to a percentage, outweigh the potential for negative outcomes. Additionally, in reference to the example, the $10 is mathematically less than 0.01% influence on your life, assuming you'll be in possession of more than $100,000 over the course of your life, as a negative, so the positive still outweighs the negative. Though this specific point takes into perspective the weight ratio of importance and priority of you compared to others and an assumption of equality estimation, which is a whole nother topic to be analyzed. Overall, contribution in life can come in a massive variety of forms and situations, and will almost always be virtually impossible to weigh the percentage chances of all aspects accurately, so rough estimation is likely necessary to make the best decision. These different varieties of options of contribution will likely come up in nearly every element of life, requiring an option to choose, and if you're consciously aware of the possibilities, a decision to make. The potential for contribution may present itself in any circumstances, from the distinct option of choosing to vote for the person you believe is most worthy rather than whom everyone else is voting for, to the vaguer, discrete possibility of choosing to recycle a bottle rather than throwing it in the garbage. Whichever happens to be your current circumstance, keep in mind that mathematically, besides generally, if you want to play the better odds, make your contribution.